Man, I've kind of gone into like podcast style, kind of asking you questions, but I want to really turn it back around to real Miracle March and have you like, bro, how could I help you? What are you going through? What questions do you have about anything? Like, how could I serve you
hmm
today?
So that's a really, I really appreciate you asking that. That's really interesting. I would love to know because, so obviously, for people that may not be, in sub two that are listening to this, in the mentorship where that we're in, that's how I got connected with you. You are very well known within our community as a massive go giver. You're very well known for helping people with their mindset. The more deals that I do in real estate, the more that I'm in real estate, the more that I realize that it's not about the deals themselves. It's about the mindset that it takes to become the person that can operate a business that does deals. But the
100%.
mindset is it's like the foundational principle more so than any of these real estate terms that we're talking about. Like if you don't have the right mindset, so could you share with me, maybe shed some light on what have you done to, in my view, you have a high amount of what I would describe as like emotional fortitude, your mental capacity to endure obstacles, to endure failure, and continue moving forward. I think is really admirable and can help a lot of people, including myself. Can you help share with me, how that you've strengthened that muscle and how you continue to strengthen it moving forward?
And that's an amazing question. Um, and as you're asking, I'm thinking about kind of where it started, and I would say where it consciously started, consciously, right? As far as I could remember, one of the first things that happened that challenged me was being married to my first wife, and going through that divorce really challenged me. It challenged me. It was one of the most depressing times of my life. And it also forced me to figure some stuff out. And that's when I temporarily, intentionally started reading about the book that I read was Be Happy for No Reason. Would I call it a mindset book then or anything like that? No, I just needed something to pull me out of this grave that I was in, right?
hmm
And so I clearly remember, and I kind of see a trend here, and it's the first time I'm actually acknowledging this trend that I did. I went to Texas, knew no one in Texas, never been to Texas, just booked a hotel, and I just went to Texas. I just needed time to go be alone and read, just focus.
hmm
And it was there where I started to figure some things about me out. I read this book, I read some other things, and I started to feel better about who I was, right? And so even in that, I was determined to not be depressed, to fight it. And so it was through that time I started going to the gym. This was now like 13, that's about 13, 12 years now.
I was gonna say it has to be a fair amount of time in the past because you don't start looking like that, overnight.
That was what started it, man. Because I'm like,
Really?
I
If you don't mind
needed.
me asking, how did you
Mhm.
land on Texas? Did you have family there? Did you have an experience there? Was there a particular city or town that you had been wanting to go to?
Cities in a bag, bro, and just pull it out of a hat, man. Like
Really? One of those deals.
yeah, it was super random.
Yeah.
Um, but Texas was one of the more populous states.
hmm
And at that point in time, I wasn't super well traveled. So it was like, you always hear about Texas, you hear about Florida. And so I just chose Texas. And
hmm
because I wanted to be as outside of what's known to me as possible. I
hmm
didn't want contact with people. I wanted to be on an island.
Yeah.
And again, I'm saying this now. I look back, like even answering this question, and I'm like, huh, interesting, right? Because it was more or less meditation time.
Hmm.
It was that time for me to be alone with my own thoughts to try to figure things out. And so after that, I came back and I felt like I forgave. I wasn't super upset anymore. I wasn't like um mad. And so I started having better communication with my ex, and today we're amazing friends. Like
Oh,
we
that's
just
great.
celebrated my son's birthday, and it was my wife, her
Hmm.
guy, her kids, and I treat them all like they're my kids, right? Like
Oh, wow.
we have an amazing relationship. So, but again, at this point in time, it was just really tough, and that helped me to build a certain type of mindset. Another thing that happened was, I mean, even managing the relationship with her through, like, because we didn't go through child support and all that type of stuff. We dealt
Hmm.
with everything outside of the court. They allowed us to. That took a period of time, but it also really taught me how to numb or say no to my ego, because to get there it took me being ego less and kind of just giving her things that I would have tipped, like a regular man would fight for. And
Hmm.
so it gave me a lot of emotional intelligence in being able to navigate that not wanting child support, because I had a lot of friends that was in child support, and I was like, I never ever want to go through that, right? And so I
Hmm.
did whatever it took to not go through child support, and so that took a lot of mental building as well. And then there are other situations. Another main one, and I'm kind of skipping over stuff, but another main one was when I left playing, being a DJ. I had a connection and reputation and an identity that was tied to me being, I call it being a hood celebrity, because we would travel the world, and we had a lot of fans. I mean, we played in front of over 30,000 people. Like we
No
did.
kidding.
Yeah, no, we it was a lot of reputation. Like our reputation was huge. It was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
In that world, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um and so letting go of that to live more of a Christian lifestyle, um
Hmm.
that was tough. That was really tough. And again, I left and I went to Egypt for 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
This is why I'm saying, like, I'm just noticing patterns. Went to Egypt for 3 weeks, had an amazing, like, but again, discovery, self-discovery. And that's when I started to understand more of the differences between roles and identities, and not being tied to what I do, but who I am is separate than what I do.
Hmm.
And that just understanding that gave me a level of confidence. Like, I'm not going to be condemned by, like this thing that I used to do. And then
Man, all
this
of
is
these things, I just want to interject real quick. All of these things are so much easier said than done. I know
oh,
that you're speaking about these, and obviously, it just I just want to take a moment and recognize that when you're going through it and when you're in the middle of these types of kind of like uh, tectonic shifts in your lifestyle and the way that you view yourself and your partner or another, a career and these things that you're transferring from, I know you're having to be quick and kind of, share
yeah.
with me and everyone listening, these different experiences. But man, just to sit here and recognize like the things that I know it's taken about, a minute for each thing, but these are just unbelievably hard things to commit and actually do. And so it's very
I
admirable.
I could talk about each one for days, and
Yeah.
like just the process of overcoming myself, to get to this point. And the last example I'm going to give that was also a pretty big deal, was that I was engaged to someone,
Mhm.
and she gave me back my ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was based on things that I felt like God told me to tell her, when we had temporarily broken up. And it was a test. It was a test to see if I would listen to that voice, that connection. And I
Mhm.
did. And she gave me back my ring. And, imagine, picture this, right? Like, you posting pictures of being engaged and all that type of stuff. And just the public embarrassment of what that could look like, the humiliation, right? And I had to overcome that and walk through it and stand firm in it and not be bogged down by it. Now, was it tough? Sure. But I still stood. And to some degree, all of these things compounded to build my mind as to who I am today, in the resilience, in the and my ability to kind of just put myself out there. And even though sometimes it may be embarrassing or whatever, to just continue to go through. Because I don't know what I could go through that's worse than some of those things that I've already been through, bro. From
Man,
a
some
mental
of those things
standpoint.
are, a number of those things are worse than a lot of people would ever go through. I mean, a lot of those things are worse than things that I have ever been through or would ever want to go through. And
Yeah.
I mean, you're going through things, multiple things that are just, it's just interesting that you mentioned that. One of my best friends in the world, same thing happened to him. His fiance, they were set to get married in, it was a couple weeks, and then she ended up giving the ring back out of nowhere. And I mean, I was there the night that it happened. He called me up late at night. I went and met him and just, held this man as he just cried into my chest. And I mean, it was, I had to physically pick him up and help him, just kind of start that process of carrying on. But it's devastating, these things that you're going
Peep,
through. You
peep
oh,
this.
what's
Peep this. I gotta add this in, because luckily you were there for him, right? And my parents were there for
thankfully, yeah.
thankfully, right? Here's how God set me up, bro. My best friend, he moved to it wasn't Connecticut, to Massachusetts, right? So he's in Boston. The next 2 days after, I was gonna get a surgery on my foot that was gonna keep me off from doing any activities for 3 months. 2 days after. So
Really?
imagine getting your ring back,
Yeah.
and
And then
then you're bedridden for 3 months, dude. Like, dude, the
Yeah.
mindset and mental, like, and I'll be lying to tell you that there weren't days that I wasn't on my bed bawling like a baby, like folded up, because
Mhm.
I no longer wanted to live the lifestyle that I used to live, and just being a scumbag, right? And so it's me trying to control this person and go through this process. And dude, it was the most beautiful 3 months of my life. Beautiful.
Really?
Oh my gosh, bro.
Wow.
Most
That is
beautiful.
okay. So that is not what I was expecting you to say. That's unreal.
Because it's what changed my life.